Salutare! Nu, Radu încă nu a plecat din țară și nici în vacanță. A vrut însă pentru acest episod de Digitalination, pe care Upgrade 100 îl realizează în parteneriat cu ASPEN Institute Romania, să ieșim puțin din cadrul digitalizării de la noi și să vedem cum fac cei mai buni digitalizare și transformare digitală. Așadar, în această ediție specială de Digitalination vom vorbi despre ce face prima clasată la nivel european, și anume Finlanda. Pentru început, rămâi alături de noi câteva minute pentru a înțelege imaginea de ansamblu Finlanda-România în domeniul digital. În Digital Economy and Society Index, clasamentul european al digitalizării, Finlanda ocupă prima poziție, iar România ultima. Hai să ne uităm mai în detaliu câteva secunde ca să înțelegem mai bine contextul. Pe dimensiunea capital uman, cea care include partea de competențe digitale și absolvenți de IT, Finlanda este detașat prima la nivel european, fiind prima țară care atinge ținta europeană pentru 2030, 80% din populație cu cel puțin competențe digitale de bază. Prin comparație, România se află la 28%. Sunt și lucruri bune de remarcat tot pe această dimensiune. Finlanda și România împart locurile 3 și 4 la nivel european în ce privește numărul de absolvenți în IT. La conectivitate, Finlanda trece abia anul acesta înaintea României pe locul 8, România trecând de pe 10, atenție, pe 15. La integrarea tehnologiilor digitale, Finlanda ocupă din nou primul loc, mai ales datorită folosirii noilor tehnologii de către mediul de afaceri. 66% dintre companiile finlandeze folosesc soluții de tip cloud, iar 16% dintre aceste companii finlandeze folosesc și inteligența artificială. Tot prin comparație, România ocupă tot ultima poziție. La cea din urmă dimensiune a serviciilor publice digitale, Finlanda ocupă locul 2 european la mică distanță față de Estonia, fiind foarte aproape de a atinge ținta europeană de 100% a serviciilor publice digitale până în 2030. Finlanda se află acum la 87%, România la 21%. Care este secretul? Cum reușește Finlanda să aibă asemenea performanțe și cum putem învăța noi de la ea? Ei bine, încercăm să aflăm răspunsuri pentru această ediție specială de la o invitată la fel de specială, Laura Eiro, care conduce Comitetul Interministerial pentru Transformare Digitală din Finlanda. Haideți să vedem cum a decurs conversația. Radu?
Very happy to be here.
Thank you so much once again. To be honest, when I read your position as a Secretary General of the Interministerial Committee, I was thinking that in our culture, whenever you want to bury a problem, you just form a new interministerial committee. Is the same thing in Finland, or just don't kill my vibe from the very beginning?
I won't, because it is totally on the contrary in Finland. The appointed ministerial level working group actually really highlights the importance of the subject, and we are very happy that for the first time in the Finnish history we now have the ministerial working group for the digital transformation.
Perfect. And tell us a little bit more. I understand that it's a new body that puts together all of these efforts of digital transformation.
Yes.
What's its mission? What is the plan? How is it working?
Yes, as we all know very well, digitalization touches every sector, and no one can achieve the goals of the digital transformation alone. And in Finland, we also have shared competencies, so every ministry is responsible for their part. But for already some years, we have noticed that if we want to be really impactful, we have to do things more together and even more coordinated manner. And of course, this is the discussion in other countries too, whether there should be a separate ministry or minister for digitalization. But we have now developed a Finnish solution for that and created, first of all, a ministerial working group which is actually chaired by 3 different ministers: Minister of Transport and Communications, Minister of Economic and Employment, and then Minister for the local government, who is responsible for the public sector digitalization. And through this rotating chairmanship and involving other ministers as well, we believe that we can really have a coordinated, impactful approach and set the goals for the digitalization in Finland. And it is not only the ministerial working group, but also we established a digital office, which is a virtual cooperating format between all the government ministries. So I am one of the chairs of that group, and then my colleagues from the Ministry of Employment and Economy and Ministry of Finance are also in that chairing as co-chairs. But as said, all government ministries have their representatives, and that is the way how we can really work better together in advance of the matters and see the overall coordination, prioritize different activities, etc.
And what is your plan? What are the big challenges that you have in front of you as a working group?
Well, of course, it's the sort of tightening financial situation as it is in all the public sector bodies currently. So we have to use our money in a wise way. We also in Finland need to tackle the aging of the population. Then we have the climate change challenge, and we believe that by doing things in digitalization better, we can respond to all these challenges. So the challenge that we are trying to tackle is that there has been a separate policies in different area which might not interact, and there are parallelities. We are not using the money effectively enough, and through the cooperation mechanisms we can develop these. So we really want to stay as number one in the future as well. Of course, we have a good basis, but we have to run faster all the time, and this helps us in that.
It's difficult to stay number one, no, than become number one.
Yes.
I can imagine. Finland has ramped up its ambition to become an international pioneer. I saw with 2 digital economy, key digital economy transformation project. And just to mention to our audience, last year the Ministry of Economic Affairs has rolled out the real-time economy project, which is set to run to 2024. And the initiative aims to both consolidate Finland's position in the front line of global digitalization, but also to use IT to bolster the international competitiveness in digital economy. So also this project is backed by the private sector, I understand, and it's partly financed by the European Union Recovery and Resilience Facility. So it's one thing. The other one, the other initiative that I noticed launched in November 2021 is the Digital Compass project, and the scheme will be jointly managed by the Ministry of Transport, Communication, Finance and Economic Affairs, as you mentioned. Can you tell us a little bit more about these 2 transformational projects? I saw the collaboration between private sector and public sector is the base for both. How does it work?
Yes. So if I'll start with the Digital Compass, which is a overarching strategy for our digital transformation at the moment. So that has been one of the main tasks of the ministerial working group and the digital office, as you mentioned so far. And we are sort of following the EU Digital Compass and the EU level requirement for national digital development roadmaps, but we wanted to be the first one to draw this roadmap, and Digital Compass is exactly that. So we are basing it to 4 cardinal points as in the EU Compass: skills, secure and sustainable digital infrastructures, the digital transformation of businesses, and the digital digitalization of public services. And the purpose is to set national targets and indicators in all of these areas and to create a joint national vision for the digital transformation. And also the target is to further deepen the cooperation between administrative sector and between public and private sectors. So indeed, the drawing up of the digital compass has been quite a task. It took a while that we compiled everything together, the government programs that we already have, and identifying the gaps and developing new areas for targets, etc. And we've been doing very extensive collaboration together with stakeholders. There has been almost 1,000 participants in the different workshops. We've been having virtual online meetings and hearings, and the Compass has been on open public consultation twice. But I think it really also pays off, so we are almost on the way of implementing it, as the goals are very much shared in Finland. So that is the roadmap basically until 2030. Where should we be and what will be done? The other project that you mentioned, the real-time economy, is based of the idea that we need to have a online environment for the businesses. So all business transactions should be based on digital structured machine readable information and processing, and all the services should be online and able to talk to each other. And what we are trying to build with this project is the basis for that kind of real-time transactions across all the businesses, and this too has been done in a wide cooperation. There has been several ministries. I am also personally in the steering group of that project, and then we have agencies and stakeholders in the steering group. So very good example of that.
How big is the budget provided by the Resilience Recovery Fund?
The RRF funding for the real-time economy project is 14 million euros, 14, and altogether the contribution that we are allocating in Finland for digitalization is more than 500 million euros from the RRF.
Quite impressive, thank you. Now, measuring the digital economy and society index, because it's one of the topics I wanted to tackle. Finland is the first in digital economy and society index, scores quite high, first overall in EU, and high scores in human capital, integration of digital technology, and of course digital public services. What's the secret behind this impressive score? What's the recipe?
Yes, it's a long story, but indeed we have been in the top positions for some time, and now we return to number one from the second position that we hold last year. So I would say that one of the key successes is that we have had a long-standing stable frequency policy in Finland, and we have very competed telecoms operator market already since 1980s, and because of Nokia, for example, we have lots of ICT sector capabilities. So this all has allowed development, and maybe by nature we are willing to try new things as well, and digital sort of working methods have been adopted very, very largely. Finns actually make heavy and diverse use of the world's best mobile data in their everyday lives, and also companies have already been adopting the advantages of the 5G cybersecurity is also something which is very important these days, and what we have been paying attention on already previously. So these are maybe the main ingredients that we need to, of course, continue building on those.
Well, I noticed on human capital, Finland is way above the other countries in EU, I would say, and Romania is the last one, once again. Can you tell us how important is this dimension for you? Can you share some lessons learned from this dimension?
Yeah, it's very, very important to start with, and especially I would say that the past years with the COVID-19 and the Ukraine war have really shown Europe the important role that digital skills and technology have in keeping our citizens and economies and societies connected, and we need to make sure that we are able to tackle fake news and hybrid threats, and the ability to have the skills and media literacy are very, very key in that. So in Finland, 79% of the population has at least basic digital skills, and mobile phone is used by 99% of households. Also, either a computer or tablet is used by 90% of households daily. So I think it's about having these skills learned at school, but also the penetration of the gadgets available that have enabled the development. And of course, it too has been quite a sort of long part. It's because of the educational system at large, which is very good in Finland as well. But then on the other hand, we too have difficulties in, or our companies have difficulties in recruiting ICT professionals, and that is something that we need to tackle also at the European level together. Also, keeping those who are not digitally advanced in society has been very important for us, and there are all kinds of supporting measures, for example, for elderly people, so that they can learn to use digital manners.
It's one dimension that I noticed Finland just went in front of Romania on the only dimension that we are not the last connectivity. How come Finland is not on the top position on this dimension? What are the challenges here?
Yeah, indeed. Last year we ranked number 8 in that category, and it is because of that we have been developing also the mobile broadband connection very heavily. So for us, it is most important that people have the connectivity, be it then mobile or fixed connectivity, and the sort of sector that leads to us being only number 8 is that there is a noticeable divide regarding fixed network coverage as availability of very high capacity networks, and there we are a bit behind of the most advanced countries. So at the end of 21, 71% of Finnish households had access to a fixed internet connection that offered at least 100 megabytes per second. But as said, I wouldn't say that we are doing very badly in that category either, but we just have different setup of the connections. Also putting some money to make faster coverage of the very high capacity networks. For example, from the RRP, we are allocating some money to roll out for that.
That's very interesting. One of the biggest challenges for us in Romania is the digital public services, is this dimension. Finland ranks the second at the EU level, I saw. Tell us a little bit more about this. How are the digital public services in Finland, and how do you measure the success there, apart from the EU level?
Yeah, so in Finland, the digital public services are very widely available and actually actively used by people, as we have the connectivity and people have the skills, so it's all going together. And of course, this provides a good starting point to use the public services. So I would say that, for example, in taxation, we have been doing a lot of work to really digitalize and automate the whole process, and people are getting their taxation matters taken care of mostly virtually, and everything is sort of done for you. You just have to confirm whether you agree with it or not. So there has been lots of service development, and the sort of aim that we are going towards to is to have a very human-centric approach. So we want to build up sort of life event based services, and people shouldn't be caring which is the authority and what are the sort of technical systems that are needed, but they should be getting very easily accessible services, and maybe the best service is something that you don't even need to ask for, but you will just automatically get it.
Mhm.
And actually, in Digital Compass, we are also building a measuring system. We of course have some measures already, but that is the area that we need to develop all the time as well. But for example, by 2030, we want to have around 40 of the most significant live event services packages digitalized or automated up and running. We are also seeing how much companies are using digital services, etc.
I wanted to ask you, I saw there's a strong connection between digital public services and digital skills, and you mentioned the challenges here and the education of the citizens. How do you see it in the public sector? Is the digital skills in the same level as in the general public, or you still have challenges over there? And how do you tackle them?
Well, yes, these are all intertwined, and all in all, I would say it's a very high level. Of course, we also have, for example, elderly people that need still help in using digital services. On the other hand, in some cases, it might be that the digitalization and automation can actually provide better services also for those, if we sort of are able to uh, offer services so that they don't need to do anything. In addition, there are other age groups where there have been difficulties in learning digital skills and then using services. But as said, we have put a lot of effort to find those groups who have difficulties, and then trying to help them. But it takes time, and we need to have sort of systems for those who are not digitally able as well.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. I saw recently a declaration of Minister of Transport and Communication, Timo Harakka, at the Transport Communication Forum just in September and last month. He said, for quite some time now, we have been living through a period where exceptions have become the norm. The twofold crisis, the pandemic and Russia's cruel war of aggression, are affecting transport and communication in different ways and at many levels. While this challenges us to make re-evaluations, it also reinforces our previous choices. What changed the world in terms of digital transformation in your case? Because you are quite in at the border, let's say, in some.
Well, I would say that it is mostly about cyber security. So we have been, or the government has been allocating more money to cyber security. Of course, we are in a good position in that sense that we have a very good system for preparedness, and we have legislative basis for the public sector telecom companies, for example, to be prepared. The networks are working very well, etc. We are exercising many times a year for the cybersecurity threats, but all this has been sort of still enhanced. And of course, I would say that the war also shows the vulnerability of the digital systems and interconnectivity. It's been really impressive how well Ukraine is doing and how they have been able to use the DIA ecosystem to have a public sector services up and running in these situations. And actually, the Vice Digital Minister of Ukraine just visited last week, and it was really interesting to hear the learnings of the situation.
I can imagine. Also, I saw Finland puts collaboration quite high on the agenda. You mentioned the projects between private sector and public sector, but I would like to take the opportunity to ask: is there a way Romania can benefit more from your experience in digital transformation?
Of course, we are happy to share our experiences also more in detail. If there are organizations that want to have more detailed discussions, so we are very much up for that. And of course, one cooperation forum at the EU level is the newly appointed Digitalization board, who is then looking after the implementation of the EU digital compass and strategy. I will be the Finnish representative in that board, and of course happy to connect with the Romanian representatives in that. So definitely there are possibilities to share information more in detail.
And do you see any venues of intergovernmental collaboration? Do you have particular things that can be open towards it? You mentioned digital skills, which is quite important for us in the educational system. How can we learn from that in terms of building the digital skills we need at the society level?
Yeah, maybe it's good to continue bilateral connections and see what are the concrete measures to really go forward, and of course to jointly do actions at the EU level. It's very important that we all sort of raise our level together, I would say.
Mm-hmm. And how our podcast can help in this field?
Well, for sure, this podcast has an impressive drive and agenda, I will have to say. So it is really important to share information and best practices. So I would say that you are indeed already doing it. And of course, if you want to have maybe later some concrete case examples to examine more also in the podcast, I'm sure that is possible as well.
Well, thank you very much. It was quite a nice conversation. At the end, I would like to ask you if you have some recommendations towards, I mean, from the perspective of the road that Finland took years ago, as you said, just looking back, if you would recommend others not to follow the same mistakes, what would you recommend to or to burn some steps, or to learn from your experience? If you have to choose one thing, what would be?
Well, maybe establishing a coordination mechanism that we now did, even previously, would have been a good thing to do. So I would really encourage everybody to have a governmental and cross-sectoral level coordination as early as possible, and have a joint vision and agenda, as digitalization covers so many different levels.
Thank you very much, Laura, once again. It was a pleasure having you, and thank you for making the time to be with us today. It is quite important, and I hope this kind of conversation will follow. And at least from our side, it's an open invitation to come to Romania, share this experience here, and I promise to extend it to you. Also, I would like to not to end this conversation without thanking the Finnish embassy in Bucharest for making this possible, and thank you for your openness and availability, and once again making the time for being with us today.
Thank you so much for the invitation, and happy to continue to collaborate soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mulțumiri tuturor că ați fost alături de noi în conversația asta despre Finlanda. Cred că sunt câteva lecții interesante de urmărit și cred că sunt câteva lucruri pe care le putem lua în detaliu și iată, și cred că asta este foarte important pentru toți decidenții de la noi, putem să accesăm aceste bune practici, putem să apelăm la acești oameni și vă spun cu mâna pe inimă, am trimis un e-mail la ambasada Finlandei, mi s-a răspuns din partea autorităților din Finlanda. Atât de simplu a fost. Cred că și asta trebuie să se schimbe. Mulțumesc foarte mult tuturor. Digitalination, o producție Upgrade 100 alături de ASPEN Institute Romania. Încercăm să urmărim digitalizarea României, dar iată, nu numai, înțelegând și învățând și din alte exemple.